The rain hammered the windshield like it was trying to break through, but nothing could drown out the scream echoing in my head. Julian's voice, cracked and furious, spilling out from the cracked open window of the old craftsman house on Elm Street. You think you can just waltz back in after all this time and act like nothing happened, Victor? Like you didn't shatter everything? I froze in the driveway, keys still in the ignition, my heart slamming against my ribs as if it knew this homecoming was about to gut me alive. 10 years since I'd last seen that porch swing where we'd carved our initials as kids, and now it was ground zero for a war I never saw coming. I'd driven 5 hours from Chicago that gray November afternoon, chasing ghosts and a half-baked hope that Julian Hayes, my Julian, the boy who'd been my anchor through every storm of adolescence, might still have room for me in his life. We grew up in this sleepy corner of Ohio, two misfits in a town that worshipped football and Friday night bonfires. Julian was the golden one. Tousled brown hair that caught the sun like wheat fields, eyes the color of Lake Erie after a storm, and a laugh that could pull you from the edge of any cliff. Me? I was Alex Rivera, the quiet artist kid with paint under his nails and secrets buried deeper than the coal mines our dads worked. Back then, in the sticky summers of '05, we'd sneak into his family's attic, whispering dreams under the rafters while the world downstairs pretended we were just playing video games. He knew I was gay before I did. Hell, he was the first person I ever kissed, sloppy and tentative under the bleachers after homecoming, both of us 16 and terrified. "It's us against them, Alex," he'd said, his breath warm against my neck. Always. But always doesn't last in places like Milford. My mom got a job offer in the city right after graduation, yanking me away like a weed from cracked concrete. We promised to stay in touch, late-night calls that turned into faded texts, then nothing but the occasional Facebook like. Life barreled on. I chased a graphic design degree at the Art Institute, bounced through freelance gigs in Wicker Park, dated a string of guys who never stuck because none of them were him. Julian, from what I pieced together online, he stayed put, took over his dad's auto shop, married the high school sweetheart nobody saw coming, built a life that looked picture-perfect from afar. No mention of Victor, though. That name only surfaced last month, in a cryptic email from our mutual friend Sarah. "Julian's going through it. Might need you. His partner's name is Victor, Chicago guy, moved in last year. Just be careful. Be careful." As if I could turn back now. I grabbed my duffel from the passenger seat, dashed through the downpour, and pounded on the door. It swung open mid-knock, and there he was, Julian, broader now, shoulders like oak branches from years wrenching engines, but those eyes, still pulling me under. He looked wrecked, shirt untucked, stubble shadowing his jaw, a fresh cut above his eyebrow glistening with rain or sweat or God knows what. "Alex!" His voice broke on my name, like he'd conjured me from thin air. Then he yanked me inside, the door slamming behind us with the finality of a judge's gavel. The living room hadn't changed. Same plaid couch, same shelf of dusty trophies from our Little League days. But the air crackled with something toxic, like ozone before lightning. From the kitchen, a low murmur. "Who the hell is that?" "Victor." He stepped into the light, and my stomach twisted. Tall, lean, with the kind of sharp cheekbones that screamed East Coast money. His dark hair slicked back despite the humidity. He wore a crisp button-down, sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms inked with intricate tattoos, waves crashing into city skylines, a nod to his life before Milford, I guessed. Chicago transplant, Sarah had said. Probably some tech whiz who'd swept in with promises of escape. But his eyes, cold and assessing, locked on me like I was an intruder. "Babe, you okay?" he asked Julian, but it was laced with possession, a hand sliding to the small of Julian's back. Julian shrugged him off, wincing. "This is Alex. From back then." He forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Old friend. Crashed here on his way through." Victor's gaze flicked over me, appraising, dismissive. "Cool. Dinner's almost ready. Hope you like venison." Julian hunts his own. He turned back to the stove, but not before I caught the flicker of something darker in his expression. Resentment? Jealousy? I couldn't tell, but it hung in the air like smoke. We ate in fits and starts, the clink of forks on plates the only sound breaking the tension. Julian kept stealing glances at me, his foot brushing mine under the table once, twice. Accidental, maybe, or a ghost of old habits. Victor dominated the conversation, rattling on about his latest startup pitch in Cleveland, how he'd convinced Julian to list the house on some app for urban explorers. "This place is a relic," Victor said, waving a hand at the knotty pine walls. "Time to flip it, move on. We've got plans, right, Jules?" Julian's jaw tightened. "Yeah, plans." He pushed his plate away, half-eaten. "Alex, you want the tour?" Attic's still the same. Upstairs, away from Victor's watchful eyes, the floodgates cracked. We climbed the pull-down stairs, the scent of aged wood and forgotten summers wrapping around us like a blanket. The space was a time capsule. My old sketchpad yellowed on the floorboards, the string lights Julian had hung for our fort still dangling like weary fireflies. He sank onto a trunk, head in his hands. "God, Alex, I didn't think you'd actually come." I sat beside him, close enough to feel the heat radiating off his skin. "Sarah said you needed a friend. What's going on?" "That cut." He touched it gingerly. "Argument. With Vic. Complicated." The words tumbled out then, a confession in the dim glow of a bare bulb. Victor had moved in 6 months ago, after they'd met at a bar in Columbus. Julian nursing a beer after his divorce, Victor fresh off a bad breakup, both of them raw and reaching. It was love at first sight, Julian said, the kind that burned hot and fast. Victor got him, saw the parts of Julian that Milford had tried to bury, the quiet ache of a man who'd spent years pretending to be straight for his family's sake. They built something real. Weekend hikes in the Hocking Hills, late nights debating books by Kerouac and Baldwin. But lately, Victor's ambition was a tidal wave, eroding everything. He wanted to sell the house, drag Julian to the city, start over without the baggage of small-town ghosts. And me? I was one of those ghosts. Victor had found old photos in the attic. Us as kids, arms slung around each other, grinning like we'd conquered the world. "He thinks you're why I can't let go," Julian whispered. "Thinks there's still something between us." My throat closed. "Is there?" He met my eyes, and the room shrank to just us. "I don't know. I never stopped missing you, Alex. But Vic, he's my now. Or he was." His voice cracked. "Last week I found emails. He's been talking to some guy in Pittsburgh. Nothing physical, he swears, but the way he talks, it's like he's already halfway out the door. And after everything I've given up." Betrayal. The word lodged in my chest like shrapnel. I'd driven here for nostalgia, for a bridge back to who we were. But this was Julian's life fracturing, and I was the unwitting catalyst. Downstairs, a door slammed. Victor, probably eavesdropping, his patience fraying. Julian stood, pacing. I forgave him once, when I caught him flirting at that conference. Told myself it was the stress. But respect, that's gone. He looks at this house, this life, like it's a prison I built for us both. I reached for his hand, our fingers lacing like they had 1,000 times before. "You deserve more than scraps, Jules. You always did." The air thickened, charged with the what-ifs of a decade lost. His thumb traced my knuckle, a spark jumping between us. But before it could ignite, footsteps thudded on the stairs. Victor burst through the attic hatch, face thunderous. "What the fuck is this?" He held up my sketchpad, pages splayed open to a drawing I'd done of Julian at 17. Shirtless by the creek, sunlight gilding his skin, eyes full of unspoken longing. "You kept this? After all these years?" "Jesus, Julian, I knew it. You're still hung up on your little high school crush." Julian yanked the pad away. "Vic, stop. Alex is just what? Your escape hatch." Victor's voice rose, echoing off the beams. "I gave up everything for you. My job, my friends, this podunk town. And for what? So you can moon over some ghost who bailed when shit got real." He turned on me, eyes blazing. "You think you can show up now, play the hero? Newsflash, he's mine. We built this. The climax hit like a freight train. Julian stepped between us, shoulders squared. No, you're wrong. Alex didn't bail, I did. I let fear win back then. Let this town convince me love like ours was wrong. And with you, I thought we were different. Thought you saw me, all of me. His voice trembled, but he held firm. But you don't respect us, this home, my past. You want to erase it, like it's nothing. Victor's face crumpled, the fight draining out as realization dawned. Jules, I didn't mean, but it was too late. Julian shook his head, tears carving tracks down his cheeks. Get out, Julian said softly. Just go. Victor lingered, mouth opening and closing like a fish on dry land. Then he turned and descended, each step a receding echo. The attic fell silent, save for the rain pattering on the roof like hesitant applause. Julian collapsed against me, sobs racking his frame, and I held him. Not as the boy from before, but as the man he'd become, scarred and strong. I'm sorry, I murmured into his hair. For leaving, for not fighting harder. He pulled back, searching my face. You came back. That's enough. We sat there until the storm broke, trading stories of the years apart. My string of heartbreaks in the city, his quiet rebellion against the life scripted for him. No grand declarations, no fevered kisses. Just the slow thaw of forgiveness, for each other and ourselves. By dawn, Victor's car was gone from the drive. A note on the counter. I was wrong. Take time. I love you. But Julian didn't call him back. Not yet, maybe not ever. I stayed a week, helping clear the attic, not to purge, but to honor. We framed that sketch, hung it beside the trophies, a testament to survival. One night, over coffee on the porch swing, Julian took my hand again. Respect isn't about perfection, he said, voice steady. It's about seeing the whole mess and choosing to stay anyway. Forgiveness? That's the hard part. Letting go without forgetting. I nodded, the Ohio sky stretching wide above us, stars punching through the clouds like promises kept. And love? It's forgiving yourself first. He smiled then, the real one, the one that lit up my world at 12. Yeah, think we can try that? We did. Not as kids chasing forever, but as men building something new, rooted in respect, watered by forgiveness. Victor? He faded into what-ifs, a lesson in how betrayal stings but doesn't define. Milford wasn't a prison anymore. It was home, reclaimed. And Julian? He was mine again, in the quiet American way. Two hearts mending under the same roof, proving that some bridges, once crossed, lead straight to grace.